So the other day I was asked by someone how I mark my HSTs or cutting lines or whatever. They asked me what kind of marker I used, and I had to tell them that I don't anymore. I use this tracing tool. It's called the tracing tool. I think you can find them for like $2.49, something like that at Joann's. I've had this in my toolbox for, I want to say 20 years, probably, or even longer than that, maybe 26 years. I got it with one of my first sewing kits when I was given my first sewing machine. And normally it's used for patterns. You know, you put your tracing paper underneath, you put your pattern, and you mark the fabric. But I've actually used it for a few things like marking my quilt top for the domestic machines, especially crosshatch, or something really specifically metered. But I've also not recently, but this past year, I've been using this a lot, and I thought I'd share it with y'all. So here would be an example. You have two pieces of fabric, your square, to make an HST. And, you know, normally you could just take your ruler and use your marker and then mark it. Or I've seen the tip where you take it to your iron and you iron out you press it and iron it. But I take it out. I don't even need this other one. Let me show you. Oh, it's kind of got a mark. Let me take this one out of the way. I take my ruler to make my line, and I just take this tool and just press, and I kind of run it back and forth a few times just because I just like to be thorough that way. I don't know really how many times you have to do it, but as you can see, it makes this light line, almost like a hair marker. I don't even know if a hair marker would work, but this lasts me sometimes a few days. I haven't really done an experiment. That would be an interesting, let me get that little, okay, that's driving me nuts. This will last me a few days, and it works really great. And then you place it on here, and you have your line that you're going to follow. So you would sew on one side 1/4 inch, and then the other side, and that would be your cutting line. And the reason why I really like it is when I've got two different size squares. So as you can see, this one is slightly smaller, and what you want is the corner piece. So you flip that side over, you get your ruler out, the wheel, run it back and forth. Okay, that was a little excessive. Maybe I'm a little nervous. And on prints, it works. It's hard to see it get the right lighting, but it actually works too. It's hard to videotape it. So now I can place it on this corner, and I can just sew right along here, and then come back with my ruler and cut off the excess. So then you have a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and when you fold it over, you know that's what you're going to get. And the reason this is when it's really important to me that I don't like to use a marker, because if you use a marker, that line is still there because you just did your stitch over it, and you're cutting off over here. And if you're doing a white on another color, sometimes no matter what you do, it comes through. So that's why I've been using this more often, because as a long arm quilter, you see things, and you know, sometimes it's fine. No one, you know, to the naked eye would notice, but when you're right up close to quilts, sometimes you see little things like that, and stray strings, and you know, a marker that didn't disappear like it was supposed to. So if you have any other questions, just feel free to ask. Just wanted to share that with you guys today. Have a great day.